From the 22 News Plus studio, this is 22 News in Focus with Patrick Berry.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to this edition of InFocus. I'm your host, Patrick Berry. We're here in the 22 News Plus studios. If you are an astute viewer of this show, then you know history is something I absolutely love. And I am so excited today because here in the studio from the Springfield Preservation Trust are Erica Swallow and Jim Boone. Thank you both for joining me today. I'm really looking forward to this conversation. Erica and I had a conversation on Mass Appeal when I was host of Mass Appeal, which is why she's in this chair, because now we can have a much longer conversation. And Jim, I appreciate you joining me because 48 years you've been associated with the trust?
Yes, it seems like only yesterday.
But Erica, I want to start with you because you're the president of the organization. Give me kind of a brief overview. What is it?
Yeah, so the Springfield Preservation Trust is a nonprofit based here in Springfield. We focus on everything historic preservation in Springfield only. So we focus on advocating for historic buildings in Springfield. We engage with the community. We do a lot of educational programming, and we also work on archives that are related to architecture history in Springfield.
So is it just structures or locations? Because I'm trying to think there are certain historic locations in Springfield. So is it like spots as well as buildings?
It's technically architecture.
Okay.
Anything of architectural, cultural interest, that is what we focus on. But I will say that we have advocated for some non-buildings, such as the Stern Square bench over the past couple of years, looking at that bench being removed. And that is a structure. It's not a building,
right,
but it is of architectural significance and just how important it is to the park.
So, I mean, Springfield has a long history. It's, William Pynchon's father, I think, was the first settler here, or something to that name. And that was in the
1636.
I was going to say early 1600s, so 1636. So there's a lot of history in this area. Jim, how did you get involved with it? I mean, are you a history buff or?
Well, I was a high school guidance counselor.
Okay.
But I got real interested in it when I moved into the McKnight Historic District in 1976 and bought a big old house and have spent a long time restoring it. And that got me involved in the neighborhood, the McKnight neighborhood being a terrific Victorian neighborhood that became a historic district.
Geographically, where is?
It is just east of STCC, the old armory.
Okay.
It's where Worthington and St. James come together.
Gotcha.
Is the heart of it. It's the largest wood frame Victorian neighborhood in New England.
Really?
There were over 800 houses built by the McKnight brothers from 1870 to about 1910. It was the first sort of streetcar suburb of Springfield. So I got involved in house restoration. I got involved in the Preservation Trust when it sort of revitalized in 1977. And I've just been involved in the Preservation Trust ever since then. I joined the board when it got revitalized. The Preservation Trust had started in the early 70s really as a paper organization to support the restoration of Mattoon Street, which was Springfield's first historic district. And then after Mattoon Street was Forest Park, and then the McKnight neighborhood. And the historic districts have been a huge asset to the city of Springfield in both preserving great old neighborhoods and drawing lots of people and attention to the city.
So I got to ask, how old is your house?
1887.
Any ghosts?
No, but when we first moved in, if there were ghosts, I sort of walked around and said, "Are there any ghosts here?" That's fine. The only thing I ask is if it rains, please put down the windows.
There you go. That's funny. It certainly sounds like this organization has done a great job in the 50 plus years that it's been in existence, preserving Springfield's important history.
Yeah, I will say that Jim was the clerk of the works back in the 80s when the trust was doing the hands-on restoration work it was doing. And over the past 50 years has worked on 12 different projects,
Wow.
11 of them in McKnight. And I believe, Jim, you were on all of the projects.
Well, the first 5 projects we got a community development grant to restore houses in McKnight. There were a lot of vacant houses in the late 70s, early 80s in the McKnight neighborhood. And we took 5 of the worst and restored them. That did before and after open houses, which drew a lot of people and attention to the neighborhood. And so we'd restore a house, sell it, use that money to do the next one. So we were able to do 5 houses in about a 2 or 3 year
And if I
period.
think back to the size of some of those homes, they're enormous.
They really vary from, the smallest ones were about 8-room houses that at the time in the early development, those cost $3,500.
Oh my gosh.
I know that was a lot. But then, the biggest, fanciest ones cost about $10,000 to $12,000 when they were built, which was a lot of money when
Oh, absolutely.
people made $5 a week. So
We're talking about like 2,500 square foot at the minimum, maybe.
yeah,
And up to
That's
up
some
to
of them
5,000 or
5,000.
6,000
Yeah.
square feet.
big homes.
So there are some big ones. There are a lot of very modest homes, but all built. The McKnight brothers built about half the houses in the neighborhood and sold lots for the other half,
Okay.
but controlled what could be built and had a lot of rules.
Under that control and those rules, specific architecture had to be used.
Architecture, size, equal setback from the street. There were 5 parks as part of the initial neighborhood. And the McKnight brothers also did McKnight. They also developed everything north of Sumner Avenue in Forest Park.
Okay.
And they developed all of the Ridgewood neighborhood, Mulberry Street and Ridgewood. So they were big, they were haberdashers who got into the real estate business.
And I'm sure they made a lot of money from it.
Yeah, I think they did very well, but they planned all their neighborhoods out, set up the streets, set up parks in every neighborhood. So they were very responsible developers.
Very good. We are
I'll say Springfield was a pioneer in planned neighborhoods, and these are some examples, McKnight,
Right.
Forest Park, because before that you would just kind of have the road, you put a house, you buy a lot, put a house on the road. And these were full
McKnight's
neighborhood
fully
developments.
planned it out, like you said, equal setbacks.
So the
and so
trust is through our education, through house tours, bus tours from early on to get people into parts of the city that they hadn't been in a
Right.
long time. In the 70s and 80s, there were parts of the city that people had
didn't wanna go to.
opinions about,
Yeah.
but hadn't been there.
Right.
So we ran tours to bring people into the neighborhoods
Very good.
and draw attention, and that was very successful.
We are up on our first commercial break. When we come back, we'll dig into a little bit more of what the Preservation Trust does and some of these neighborhoods and the buildings that they're preserving. Stay with us. We're back in just a moment.
This is 22 News in Focus with Patrick Berry. This is 22 News in Focus with Patrick Berry.
Hello again, everyone, and welcome back to this edition of In Focus. I'm your host, Patrick Berry. I've got Erica Swallow and Jim Boone sitting across the desk from me from the Springfield Preservation Trust. Just before we went to break, I'm going to switch cameras and hold this up so you can see it. So this is, Jim, explain that this is a calendar, clearly. I don't think our viewers need to know that, but this is just one page of a calendar of homes that are in the McKnight district, right?
Yes, and we've focused every year. We put out a calendar that focuses on a different neighborhood or a different style of architecture. This one calendar happened to have been all McKnight houses. We've done calendars. Our most recent calendar was one featuring a large postcard collection
Okay.
that we've had digitized that'll be available to everybody.
Okay.
And we probably have 200 or 300 antique postcards on our current calendar, which is available for anybody interested.
Fantastic. Erica, you made a passing comment during our first portion of the discussion about some of the educational talks that the trust does. Explain that more to me.
Yeah, so every winter we have a winter lecture series taking place between January to March. And we also do a tour series, which is also educational from April on to November. And we also have our cemetery tour in October. So the whole year, we basically have at least 1 or 2 things you can do a month to learn about Springfield history. So this past January, Jim, along with our intern, Jaden Bermudez, did a lost and reused Springfield lecture talking about buildings which had unfortunately been lost to history through demolition or disrepair, as well as those which were not, which were success stories and reused. We have February's lecture.
It's going to be the Folk Houses by Bob McCarroll, who's
That's
a
right.
great historian and supporter.
Yeah, looking at storybook style architecture in America, actually overall, not just in Springfield. I'm very excited. I'll say in April we have a bus tour coming up in partnership with Peter Pan Bus Lines. That was something that's been going on since the 70s, but had kind of dropped off because just because a lot of people have cars and everything. But we've been doing a lot of those. We decided to partner up with Peter Pan Bus Lines last year to do a Springfield Historic Libraries tour. And this year we'll be looking at women in Springfield history. We drive across all of Springfield. So unlike our walking tours where you're going to be in a little
Right.
1 mile radius, this is going to be all over Springfield, looking at women in medical institution history in particular.
We're scrolling through a bunch of photos that you folks had sent me. It's a wide variety of the different seasons and different things that you folks do. How important is it that the public knows about these buildings, their history? Every community, you pointed out, Erica, every community has buildings lost to time, gone. It's just a lot or a new building there. But how important is it that people know about what was there, or that beautiful courtyard that they're looking at now? Why keep that memory going?
Well, I think it's important if people understand their heritage and where they came from, then they have a better feeling and value for where they currently are, and that helps in preserving our culture and and how beautiful our city is. When people get a bad attitude about cities, you get them into the cities and get them into the museums, get them into the neighborhoods. They realize that Springfield is a great city. And so a lot of our educational things is around that, just to encourage and appreciate what we have. By emphasizing what you've lost, people go, that was such a shame to have lost the
Right.
Barney estate at Forest Park. Why did we let that happen?
Money.
Well, so
you have to
using
fundraise.
those kinds of examples, when something else comes up that's threatened with demolition or misuse, then we can say, well, you realize that we really regret the loss of this. Let's not let that happen again.
Do you come up against times where a building is on the list to be demolished, but just can't be saved?
I mean, that certainly does happen.
Okay.
Can something be saved? A lot of times is how much people are willing or care about doing so. There have been numbers of buildings we've had on our most endangered list that we monitor, and because we've brought the attention to them, we've been able to find developers that have said, well, maybe this is salvageable.
Okay.
And the Knox Automobile Company, the Overland Car Company, the National Needle Building downtown. All these are all buildings. Our schools, we probably have 5 or 6 schools that were closed and otherwise would have been lost, but got reused into housing.
And you recognize through an awards ceremony each year some of the partners that you work with. Talk to me more about the Preservation Awards.
Yeah, our Preservation Awards are to recognize and reinforce the importance of restoration and taking care of what you have. So we give awards to homeowners who have done exceptional jobs of rebuilding porches, rebuilding or restoring a house completely that was in bad shape. We recognize developers, the First Resource Company, wonderful company that's redone many, many old buildings in Springfield. So we recognize them. They did Indian Motorcycle, Knox Automobile. They're doing the school department currently. They've done a lot of neighborhoods. So we recognize them. We recognize a category called stewardship, both in homeowners and in other privately owned buildings. And that stewardship, these are not things that have been restored. These are things that have always been taken care of. So we recognize people who have been good
Good
stewards
stewards of the
of their
property, right?
buildings
For more than 25 years.
for more than
That's the
25
minimum.
years. So it's just to give recognition that
That's nice.
it's
That's
worth it
nice.
and it's worth doing this. So we do this every year. We acknowledge about 12 to 15
Wow.
projects per
Good.
year.
Good,
And
good.
we could do a lot more, but we think 12 or 13 is a good number.
Exactly,
And then,
exactly.
yeah.
We are up on our second commercial break. When we come back, we are going to talk about a location in downtown Springfield that's on your radar. Stay with us. We're back in just a moment.
This is 22 News in Focus with Patrick Berry. This is 22 News in Focus with Patrick Berry.
Hello again, everyone, and welcome back to this edition of InFocus. We're here in the 22 News Plus studios talking about history, this time Springfield history. So sitting across the desk from me from the Springfield Preservation Trust are Erica Swallow, the president and of the Springfield Preservation Trust, and Jim Boone, a board member and director for 48 years. When'd you start? When you were 2?
That's right. Yeah, very good. Very good.
So when we went to break, we were talking about a project that have you started working on this one?
Yes.
You have started
We have.
working on it, yeah, already. Erica, you seem to be have more knowledge on it, so I'm going to switch gears to you to talk a little bit more about this one.
Yeah. So the trust acquired 7 and 9 Stockbridge Street in April of 2023. It's the third oldest building in downtown Springfield. It's located right across from the MGM Main Street entrance. So for those of you who've been down to that area, Stockbridge Street is right there. It's a small street that was developed by Elam Stockbridge as a commercial area. And right in the middle of the street is this cute little 3-story brick building, which we now own. It's, like I said, the third oldest, and it is best known for its use from 1913 to 1972 as Gunther and Handel's Deli.
Okay.
Some of the older viewers may recall the German potato salad that was served there. I hear that was delicious. There's actually little news advertisements in the Republican back in that period of time where you can see they were producing all kinds of delicious deli foods, but people were really raving about the potato salad.
So I'm kind of flipping back and forth here between a couple of maps. So this map here, you can see the red dot right there. So here's the Mass Mutual Center up here. Here's MGM over here. So it's really, Stockbridge is just this little tiny street. And I'm going to switch maps once again. And this is Stockbridge. Here's MGM over here on the right. Mass Mutual Center would be to the north here. But this is the little building right there, right?
Yes.
So I'm going to see if this works. I'm going to zoom in.
Beautiful.
Yes.
Oh, look at that. Patrick's got some skills there.
Nicely done.
But this is 7 and 9 Stockbridge Street. So,
Yeah.
so I'm just going to kind of flip it around. So this is Stockbridge Street to the east. This is Stockbridge Street to the west, and that's MGM right there.
Right.
Correct.
Okay. So it's this little building right here is the one we're talking about.
Right. And we are currently in process of restoring it. We've just finished, and this is a Google image that isn't up to date, but just so you get the idea, Google, you should drive by and take another look at the building. But we finished masonry work. As you can see, there was a lot of masonry issues, and the building is kind of slanting to the left side there. We also finished the roofing, and these projects were made possible by the City of Springfield and the Community Preservation Committee awarding us funding in 2023 for those projects. We're working on next windows and doors, raising the funds for that. And we're also actively doing a small little campaign for exterior painting, because back in the era of this building, which it was built in 1845, I should mention, it would have been painted. When we do our restorations of the interior, we'll be putting the Springfield Preservation Trust office on the first floor. We're very excited because we do a lot of tours downtown, and we want the
Close proximity.
Yeah, public to be able to come through. We have a lot of archives Jim is one of the collectors too of historical books and architectural books on Springfield and just general New England architecture. And we'll also be putting in 2 residential apartments, one on the second floor and one on the third.
So you'll be able to rehab that building so it's housing and office. Okay.
Yeah.
So, but I want to go back because you mentioned it's the third oldest building in downtown Springfield.
Right.
What are the two others?
The
You knew that question was
yeah,
coming.
Court Square. So position yourself on Court Square. So First Church is one, and the years will escape me, but it's the early 1900s. Maybe Jim has it.
1819.
Yeah. Okay, great. 1819. Perfect. And then the buyer's block is what?
Oh, probably 1820s.
Yeah, maybe. We have it right on our website too. I
Yep.
probably could pull that up. Is 1819 and 1835.
Okay.
So Buyer's Block is another commercial building right there that has just recently been restored as well. It looks really nice on the west side. Is that the west side?
All right, I'm going to see if this works.
Yeah, here we go.
All right, that's
There you
Yep,
go.
the
there's
area we're
First
talking
Church.
about, right?
Yep.
So
So-
here's the church up here on the
Yeah.
west side of
Yeah.
the
Yep.
park.
And that little tiny 3-story building to the left of the hotel, down right there.
That one with
That's
red
the
top?
Yep, that's
Okay.
the Buyer's Block.
Okay.
So those are the two oldest, and then just shortly, just a quick walk away is our building as well.
That is fascinating. So the idea is preserve all these older properties and in such a way that they're useful. Like I said, with the Stockbridge property, you'll turn that into housing on the top 2 floors and your offices on the bottom. So it reverts back to a useful building. What's there now?
It's been vacant since the 1990s, I think, somewhere around then. But it's just been vacant. It doesn't have power. It had leaks coming in. The roofing was
Right.
completely shot, really falling into disrepair before we purchased it.
If people want to see what you're working on, volunteer, help out, donate, attend a meeting or presentation, what do they do?
Our website, springfieldpreservation.org, has basically all of the stuff we're doing on it. You can also follow us on social media, which you can find links on our website. But the website is the best place to go. You can learn about our advocacy projects, whether that be the Preservation Awards, which are open for nomination, by the way, or our most endangered historic resources list, which are the buildings in Springfield which are in immediate need of help. But you can also find what are our events and reach out to the trust via the website, or you can find us online another way and get involved. We at our events we routinely have people come up. We just had our winter fundraiser this
Okay.
weekend, and hopefully getting a couple people more involved from that event.
That is fantastic. I cannot thank you both enough for joining me today. I know, we joked about it earlier. This is the tip of the iceberg of what you folks do, but it gives an overview of what the Preservation Trust is, and how you're saving Springfield's history. Wonderful seeing you both. Thank you both for joining me.
Well, thank you for having us.
You
Really
bet.
appreciate
Yes,
it.
thank you.
Thank you.
This is 22 News in Focus with Patrick Berry.